So for today's lesson, we're going to be working on desensitizing, particularly getting our horse used to plastic, flags, that kind of thing. I've had a lot of folks message me asking me about different tips and tricks and things that I do to try to get my horse more prepared for when they encounter something spooky or scary on the trail. And in fact, we had a post today from Kate Walter, and Kate said, she said, "This is my 2-year-old Gypsy. I've worked with her since day one. She is still scared of plastic bags, but plays with tarps. Any suggestions?" You know, it's funny because sometimes the things that our horses do make no sense. It doesn't make any logical sense that a horse that is comfortable walking over or playing or picking up a tarp would then be afraid of a little plastic bag whipping by them in the wind. But we find that a lot with our horses. There are a lot of things that happen that just don't make sense. And when you find something that doesn't make sense, that tells us that maybe there's a hole someplace that we need to kind of go back and methodically work through so that we can find out where our horse is lacking, where they need to get a better foundation, where they need to gain more confidence. So today I'm going to be working with Jameson, and this little guy is a little bit uneasy with plastic bag. He's not the worst horse that I've seen, but he's going to react enough that I think that it's going to be a pretty good demonstration of how we can slowly build our horse's confidence and work them through things. So here's what I'm going to do is the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a plastic bag and whip it all around him so that you guys can see how reactive he is. Because what happens is the way that I work with the horses, I take my time and gradually build their confidence, and so it doesn't look like a rodeo. You know, you don't just see horses flying everywhere and acting all crazy and that kind of thing, because my goal isn't to scare them. My goal is to encourage them and build their confidence. And so just for demonstration purposes, so that you can see that he's reactive, I'm going to grab a plastic bag and show you how he reacts to the plastic bag. But then we're going to work him through it, and it's not going to seem like that big of a deal because we're going to slowly but surely build upon a foundation to make him more comfortable, more relaxed, more steady, more quiet, and he's going to be awesome. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of see how he does here. And you can see he's kind of pulling back, pulling away from the plastic bag. He's not comfortable with it at all. So you can see he's not happy with this plastic bag at all. He's kind of popping up on two there, pulling away, moving in circles. And again, this isn't the way that I typically want to start a horse and introduce them to the bag. But a lot of times I'll get people and they'll see me work with a horse, and because I take my time and I'm very methodical and I build the foundation, they don't see all the fritz and drama that you see with other horse trainers and clinicians and people that work with horses. And so they say to me, they say things like, "Oh, well, that horse was already trained," or "that horse was pretty comfortable with the flag before you started working with it." But that's the way it should work. That's the way it should look if you're taking your time and gradually building and progressing off of each step. The idea is to set our horse up to be successful. So when I just came in here whipping this plastic bag around, I didn't really set him up to be successful. I set him up to fail. And the ugly truth is that most of us, when we work with our horses, and I'm just as guilty of this, sometimes we forget to do the preparation, the legwork, the groundwork to put our horse in a safe and quiet situation where they're going to be more likely to do well. We usually end up amping up that energy, and we want results right now, and if we don't get it how we want it, exactly when we want it, we say that our horse is a stupid horse, or this horse doesn't know any better, or whatever the case is. And really the truth is, it's all on us. You know, we're the leader of this herd here, and so it's up to us to make the good informed decisions to set our ponies up to be successful and do well. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from the very basics, build them up, and get him to where he's doing really well, where he's quiet, where he's relaxed, and where he's comfortable with the bag there. Good boy, I like that. I like that he's sniffing the handle there. That's really good. So I'm going to give him a rub, and let's get started. So I tend to be really big on basics, on foundations, and building upon those. So I'm going to start really simple here. Good boy. I like that he's licking and chewing there. Anytime my horse shows me that he's relaxed, that he's calm, that he's quiet, I'm going to go ahead and give him a rub and let him know, hey, I really appreciate that you're nice and relaxed and quiet, and you're doing a great job. You made a good decision. I also like taking these big, deep breaths, really exaggerating it, so my horse understands that I'm relaxed and that I'm really pleased with the decisions that he made. So I'm going to start with just really simple desensitizing, where we go throughout our horse's body. You know, I want to go over the top of his neck, over the middle of his back, and I've done quite a bit of this with him, so he's relatively comfortable with this, but I just want to make sure, because we want to build his confidence. I know that he's okay with this, so I want him to do well with this, and then he's going to feel a little bit more confident for the other things that I throw at him. I'm going to go to his back end here. I'm going to do these back legs. I'm going to come up underneath the flank. A little flinchy under the flank, so I'll kind of focus there a little bit. Good, that was good. Come under the barrel here. A little flinchy there, so just going to stick with this barrel until he kind of relaxes from the pressure around the barrel there. There, it's a little better. Good, progress there. Good, I'll give him a rub there. I'm going to go ahead, go to his front legs here. Very good. Neck and shoulders. Good, neck and face. Up. Come back at it here, nice and easy. Good pony. Very good. Now I'm going to come from underneath. I like to come up kind of under that chin strap area there. Make sure that he's good there. You know, sometimes when you're riding, stuff will kind of just blow up underneath your pony. So we want to make sure we desensitize under our pony's face here. Make sure they're comfortable with that. You see how he's kind of got that head up high? I'm going to continue on here until he starts to kind of lower that head a little bit. And what I'm going to do to try and get him to relax is I'm going to make sure that I'm taking big, deep breaths to encourage him to understand that everything's okay. Nothing to worry about here. And he's starting to soften in the face just a little bit. I like how that nose is kind of slightly starting to tip to, right there, starting to tip towards me. I like that. And now I'm just going to keep going. I want to see if I can get that head to lower. Take another nice big deep breath here. I'm going to stick with it here. Good pony, very good. Keep going here, waiting for him to soften and lower. And again, there's certain signs that I like kind of stick with until I see them, because the lowering of the head and neck and face is a really good indication that our pony's relaxed. So I'm just going to kind of stick with it here, see if I can get him to really definitively lower that head and neck for us here. So again, I'm going to encourage him with my breathing. Nice big deep breath. And keep going here. You know, sometimes it just takes a little bit of patience to kind of stick with it here, but there's certain signs that you really want to look for to really let you see that your horse is truly relaxing. And if I can really get him to lower his head, I can see he's kind of softening in his eyes and blinking here. Let's see what we get here. And again, it's just a matter of being patient. I'm really just going to stick with it here until he makes a decision to lower that head. And you know, the more patient we are, the better off we are, because we're making an investment in our horses. And if we can invest the time in the long run, we'll see the payoff there. And again, he's looking pretty nice and quiet. I like what I'm seeing here. I'm not going to say that he's not doing a good job, but I want to see just a little bit more. I want to see a little bit more of definitive relaxing. If I can get him to lower that head and neck, or get him to take a nice big deep breath. So he hasn't given me one of those yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to retreat, give him a rub, and I'm going to go right back to it again. Take another crack at it here. And again, just being patient and sticking with it. There! He lowered that head just a touch. I'm going to give him a rub there, let him know he made a really good choice. What a pony. And I like that when my pony goes ahead and just rubs. Good boy. Yeah, when they lower that head, that gives us a really good sign that our pony's being relaxed, that they're calm, that they're kind of just being submissive to what's going on. They're saying, you know what, whatever's going on, I'm okay with. I don't have to be on alert and have my head up really super high to see everything that's going on. I'm so comfortable that I'm just lowering my head. So I really like that. I'm going to come right back to it here. See if we can get him to lower his head one more time. And you're going to see that this time he's going to go ahead and lower that head a lot sooner for us. And that's typically the way it works, is the more we work with them, the quicker they respond, the quicker they relax. He's starting to soften his face. He lowered his head just a touch, but I want to get a little bit more. I'm going to stick with it here again. Good, I like that right there. He started to lower that head. I'm going to give him a rub. And if you notice, he didn't really dramatically lower that head. I just got just a little bit of a lowering of the head. And that's enough for me to take the pressure away, take a deep breath, go in there, rub and love on him, let him know that he's made some really good choices. So now I'm going to go ahead to this other side, and I'm just going to go through and just kind of methodically make sure I hit every part of his body. We got a little bit of flinchiness there. And do the hip here, over the middle of the back, his withers. We'll catch the neck. We'll do the back legs. We're going to come underneath the flank here, a little bit flinchy there. Front legs. I'm going to keep on going here. Good, he's doing pretty well. Now I'm going to go right over the top of his ears, and I'm going to come up underneath the throat latch on this side. Good, I like what I'm seeing here. I'm going to see if I can get my pony to lower his head just a little bit on this side as well. I like that that nose is tipping in and coming in towards me. Oh, he raised that head up, so I'm going to stick with it here. And you know, it's always important to work both sides of our horse, but also the reality is there's always a little bit of transference. So, you know, some of the things that they learn on one side are going to transfer over to the other side, but we still want to make sure we go through and make sure that there's no holes and that we work through our horse very thoroughly here. And again, you know, I'm bringing this over his face, and you can see how that would be pretty annoying for a horse to have the trainer coming up over his face, over his nose, flipping up over his eye. But it's really important to try to make sure that under any circumstances that our horses are nice and quiet. Good, I like how he started to lower his head there. I'm going to give him a rub and let him know that he made a really good choice there. What a pony, yeah. Licking and chewing, I like that. What a pony. Good boy. Okay, so now that we've got him pretty good with the steady stick and putting the trainer all over him, and he's doing really well with that, now we're going to move on to some more scarier objects. But again, it's about building his confidence. So first we started with taking the trainer and putting it all over his body and making sure that he was comfortable with that. And that helps him to really build his confidence to know, hey, I did that. That was no big deal. What you got next? So I'm going to go ahead and grab my next attachment here. So now I'm going to go through with my small flag attachment, and this just hooks right onto the steady stick. You can clip it on, slide that down, and you've got a flag attachment to desensitize with. And I like to start with the small attachment, and then we'll graduate to one of the bigger flag attachments to make sure he's okay with that. But typically what I'm going to do is I'll kind of gauge out each pony, okay? So for him, he was kind of rearing up a little bit, going back on his back legs. And so I want to make sure that I'm in a safe position when I gradually introduce the flag to him. You know, earlier when I was showing you how reactive he was, I was really going after him with the flag, and typically I would never do that with my horse. What I want to do is gradually get them accustomed to the scary object, so that we gradually build their confidence, and it's a really sure, natural process for our horse to become more and more confident. So I'm just going to start with adding a little bit of pressure. You see that head start to go up, and I'm just going to add a little bit of pressure in front of my pony, okay? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my pony to walk forward as I apply a little bit of pressure. And the moment he takes a step forward towards the pressure, and I'm just keeping steady pressure here. I'm not trying to muscle and pull him over. I want him to come on his own, but I'm going to maintain steady pressure, and I'm just going to maintain that pressure right there. I took the pressure away to let him know that when he walks towards it, that pressure is going to go away and he's got nothing to worry about. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give him a rub, let him know that he made a really good choice by moving into the pressure instead of pulling away from the pressure. Okay, so I'm going to go right back to it. I'm going to step him back just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go right back to it. I'm going to apply pressure. Now you see his head didn't pop up quite as high that time. It took a moment before he reacted. So you can see we're already making progress. And those are the types of things that you want to be looking for, is incremental progress with your horse. It's not going to be this 0 to 60 change that you see. I know that's what most people want, but the reality is if you want a really good, solid foundation from your horse, it's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, a little bit of consistency on our part to help get them through things. So again, he's doing pretty well. He lowered that head back down, and now again, I'm going to see if I can ask my pony to walk into the pressure. I'm going to keep myself at a safe distance so he can't strike or hit me, and I'm going to gently add a little bit of right there. He walked right into it that time. Really pleased with that. So you can see how we gradually build that horse's confidence. So I'm going to go right back to it. And again, I start nice and easy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, and you notice I'm a little bit closer to my pony this time. I'm going to ask him to step into the pressure. There, I took the pressure away. I'm going to go ahead and rub my pony. Oh, I like that. You see the curiosity there? He's leaning forward. He's coming into me. Those are all really good things that we want to encourage and reward him for. So I'm going to rub and love him for that, because he made a great decision there. Okay, so again, I'm going to go right back to it. This time, though, he's a little bit closer, so I got to be really careful about my angle so that I don't get hurt if he were to strike out at me. So I want to make sure that I stand kind of off to the side of his shoulder, not directly in front of him. So if he were to strike out, I'm nowhere in that strike zone. So here we go. I'm going to go right back to it. Okay, so I'm just adding pressure here. And now I'm going to ask him to move into it. So I'm going to gently ask him to come forward. I like that. And this time, I'm going to go in, I'm going to rub him with my hand, but I'm going to go ahead and touch him with the flag and see how he does. I'm just going to keep off to my side here again, so if he goes to strike at me, I'm not going to be in a position where I can get hit. And I'm also going to keep a nice hold on my lead rope, so if those back legs come around to try and get me, I can just tip that nose end to push those back legs away from me, so I'm not going to get hurt, because we always have to make sure that we're preserving our safety. So I'm going to back him up just a touch here, and I'm going to go right in and see how he does if I touch that forearm with the flag. See him flinch there, but I'm going to come right back to it. That wasn't bad. Right back to it. Good. Nice big deep breath. And I cannot emphasize enough the importance of that continual breathing. Good boy, I like that. And I'm going to give him a rub with my steady stick and the flag here. Let him know that he made a really good decision. And so you see how it doesn't look like a rodeo or a dramatic thing when we kind of take our time and go through the process of getting our horse confident, kind of one step at a time. I like that. He took a nice big deep breath. He's licking and chewing. So I'm really going to stop and take the time to reward him, let him know he's made some really good choices. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in having to do stuff and train and desensitize that we don't remember to stop and take the time and reward our horses for the awesome job that they've done. And so sometimes you just need to stop, take a deep breath, relax, rub and love on them, you know, reaffirm them, let them know that they've made some good decisions. Good boy. What a pony. Yeah. You're doing great, buddy. Yeah, you are. Okay, so I'm going to come right back to right in front of him here. I'm going to ask him to walk into it. And as soon as he walks into it, I'm going to take the pressure away and rub him. And you see how I just did that like it was no big deal, you know? I just want to make it like it's a natural progression. There's nothing for him to worry about. I'm breathing. But if I had done that and I had tensed up and I'm like, okay, we're going to touch you, then that's going to make him think that there's something to be worried about. But if I just make sure that I take the proper precautions and I'm holding my rope properly, that I'm off to the side so I can't get hurt, and I just go right in there like it's supposed to be that way, well, he's going to feel more confident and more comfortable with what we're doing there. So I like that we're pretty good with the front end here. Now again, we're just getting started. We're gradually introducing it to him. You know, I wouldn't say that he's anywhere near perfect, but I like the introduction process that we went through here, and I like the progress that he's making. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to continue on with the desensitizing just like we did with the steady stick a moment ago. So I'm just going to work my way kind of through his body, and I'm not going to be touching him with it. I'm just going to desensitize around him here. So I'm going to come up towards the middle of the back here, and again, I'm standing off to an angle. I'm going to hold my hand up over his head, over my shoulder, and that's going to keep me in a safe position so that he can't take his head and kind of swat at me here, so I can protect myself. And I'm going to work my way through his body, so over the top of his back, the hind end, the lower legs here, up in the flank area. Again, I'm not necessarily going to touch him with it, just coming around to see how he does. The front legs, under the barrel here, over the top of the neck, good, over the face, and under the throat latch. And he's doing pretty good. So now I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to rub him on the shoulder, and now I'm going to go right to touching him, just like I expect him to do awesome. No big deal. Again, standing in a safe position here where I'm not going to get hurt if things go sideways. And he's doing fantastic. I like what I'm seeing here. I'm going to get underneath the barrel there, under the flank here. I'm going to rub him with the flag. Over the ears here and the face. Good boy. Under the throat latch. Very good. So he did awesome with all of that. And so now we're going to do the other side. So same thing here. I'm going to work my way through. I'm going to start just kind of around him, not quite touching him. See how he does with that first. See that head pop up there? We'll get him to relax a little bit here. I'm going to back him up just a little bit here. Good. Front legs, back legs, under the barrel, over the top of the face, and under the chin strap. And I like what I see here. Again, is he perfect? No, but huge progress from when we started a little bit ago and he was popping up on two, rearing up and running backwards. So all we want to do is make sure that we're making really good, consistent progress each time that we're applying pressure. If we see progress, take the pressure away, give him a big rub, let him know that he did a good job. We can't expect to get it all out in one session. You know, we do a lot better if we take our time, gradually build them up, and set them up to be successful by going off of one lesson and then the next and building off of each lesson that we apply to them. So now I'm going to go ahead and touch him with the flag. And again, just like I expect him to do awesome with it, I'm just going to go right in there. Good boy. Do the hind end. Go over the withers and the neck. Those back legs. Come up under the flank there. Come up under the barrel and the girth. Front legs. Over the top of the face. Ears. Under the chin strap here. Forearm. I like what we're seeing. He's doing awesome. Really, really good. Really good. Good boy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn up the pressure a little bit here and just kind of rub it all over his body. You know, I'm not going to go and leave. I'm going to keep the flag on there, rub it all over his body on this side, there. Oh, he didn't really like that, but we're going to stick with it. Good. And I'm going to come over to this other side and rub all over, make sure that he's comfortable with all of that. Good boy. What a pony. So again, this is all about building off of each step and building our horse's confidence. So he did pretty well with the smaller flag. Now I'm going to introduce the larger flag to him. And when I introduce this large flag, since we've already done a pretty extensive and involved introduction with the smaller flag, I'm going to go right into it. And again, I'm going to expect him to do well. I'm going to act like I expect my horse to do great with this. I'm not going to tense up. I'm not going to ease him into it. But at the same time, I'm not just going to flood him with a lot of undue, unfair pressure and expect him to do great. So I'm going to start with like a medium pressure here right over the top of the back here. Good boy. And I'm taking nice big deep breaths. And I'm just going to, work my way through his body here. Make sure that my pony is nice, comfortable, and doing well here. And he's doing fantastic. I mean, I couldn't ask for him to be doing any better than this. So we've clearly made really good progress. I'm going to go ahead over his ears. A lot of horses aren't comfortable with stuff going right over the ears and draping over the face there. Understandably so. Under the throat latch here. Come back underneath the girth and the flank. I like that. And I'm going to move right along here. I'm going to go over to this other side. Same thing, just like I expect him to be awesome. Good boy. I'm going to just kind of work through his body. Good boy. Okay, so now what you're going to see is he's doing really well with the big flag. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn up the level of desensitizing, turn up the amount of pressure that I'm applying. And it's almost going to be similar to that amount of extensive desensitizing that I was doing in the very beginning. And so you're going to see the difference now that I've kind of set him up to be successful and I've very slowly, gradually built up his confidence. You're going to see that he's going to handle that same amount of pressure in a much different way. So I'm going to go right to it. And again, I expect him to maybe toss his head up and react a little bit, but it's not going to be nearly as violent or aggressive or reactive as he did earlier. So I'm going to go right to flipping the bag right beside him here. And you see, all that happened is that head came up. The reason being, we set him up to be successful and to do well here. But I like what I'm seeing. We're seeing huge progress from when we first started with all this pressure. And the difference is just the approach, taking our time, being gradual, and making sure that we're setting him up to make the best decisions possible. So I like that he's standing still. He hasn't bolted backwards. He hasn't reared up on two. I'm going to take a nice big deep breath. And I'm going to give my pony a rub. Let him know that he made a really good choice. I'm really pleased with what he's doing here, how he's doing here. And I'm going to go right back to it. Lots of pressure beside, underneath him. And now I'm going to switch to the other side. Again, I like what I'm seeing here. Yes, that head is popping up a little bit. We can see a little bit of stiffness and he's a little tense in his body, but we're just going to stick with it and work him through it until he relaxes and quiets down for us. Very good. I like that. Again, he's standing still. He hasn't shot back. He hasn't reared up. I'm going to go ahead, take a nice big deep breath, let him know that he made a good decision here. We're just going to work through his body again, just to kind of go back and build that confidence up. Let him know, hey man, you can do anything. And they come up underneath that blind spot under the throat latch. He's doing really good there. Again, a little tense still. Oh, I like that. He kind of leaned into it. I'm going to give him a rub. Let him know he made an awesome decision there. So the last thing I'm going to do with him is I'm just going to take the ribbon attachment and apply a little bit of pressure around him and get him comfortable with this ribbon going all around him. And you know, if I had started out with all of this movement, again, we kind of saw in the beginning what that would have looked like, and we would not have had as a successful training session with him. Again, I can't emphasize enough the importance of building our horse up and setting them up to be, oh, I like that. He lowered that head and neck. I'm going to give him a big deep breath here, let him know that he made a really good choice. You know, a lot of times we're so anxious to get our horses desensitized or to teach our horses that we kind of lose our horse. And what I mean by that is we forget that really it's all about that horse. It's all about making sure that we're putting our horse in a situation so that they'll do well. You know, if you've ever ridden a good horse, you know, sometimes we take for granted all of the things and all the hard work that it takes to get a really nice, quiet, and safe horse. So I want to encourage you to make sure that you take your time, that you don't rush through things, that you're gradual and methodical about the way that you encourage your horse. It's not about making our horses respect us, it's about earning our horses respect. And the best way to earn your horse's respect is by being respectful to your horse. And we can be respectful to our horses by setting them up to do the best that they possibly can.